Okay, so in this video, I'm going to cover the miners immediately since I just did a video covering the dollar, yields, gold, silver, and the GDX, GDXJ, and SILJ. So that background's done. Now, before I start, look at this. This is Newmont, right? Absolutely weak chart. Um, it looks bad because it looks like it wants to go lower. We'll get into that. But, just when it looks bad, it's going to reverse. But philosophically or macro wise, what will it take for the miners to go up? Because it doesn't really matter which miner you're looking at. There are a few that are doing okay. Just off the top of my head, maybe something like Goldfields, Eldorado, I believe. There are quite a few others that are actually okay. They're sort of holding up, but most of them look a bit like Newmont, and that's covering most of the seniors. So, what will it take? Well, a banking crisis, I think, could do it. Not that I want it, but I kind of do want it. I mean, no one likes the banks and they deserve a massive smash. But that last time is what sent gold and silver up more than anything else. And the miners, it's not like the miners went down with the markets. The markets went down, gold and the miners went up. The only other thing that went up really, crypto didn't do as well as gold and the volatility. So a market crash, specifically a banking crash, because actually a market crash could send the miners lower. Although if it did crash the markets, I don't think the miners would go down as much as the rest of the indices, general sectors, because the miners have already done their part. They've gone down too much. So at some point you run out of sellers because people like me and you are probably not going to be selling the bottom. We are almost philosophical buyers, which sometimes works against us, but we're pretty hardened, seasoned losers at the bottom of the cycle. So we tend to hold what we have and maybe even add into it. Depends what your situation's like. Do you have a salary? Can you pump into it? Or are you all in with your savings? Hopefully not, because psychology is now more than 50% when it comes to being in the lows. So a banking crash could help. Otherwise, honestly, earnings. Like, I think the miners are suffering from poor margins, poor profits, which, I mean, normally stocks are priced in terms of their earnings, right? If you're making money, then up you go. If you're losing money, then down you go. I know that it's not that simple. And usually other factors come into play, maybe even more than that. But at a certain point, if you're making money, you should stop going down. And if they start to make more money than the market expects, then maybe that's the bottom of the cycle, especially if it's the seniors, because inflation has been eating away at the margins. And I think at some point, costs stabilize or their profits seem to go up, whichever way you want to look at it. I think if the margins, the earnings start to get better, maybe that will put in the low and maybe they start going in and start going up. And then from there, technicals can take over if they start to break out of lows, let's say. So for me, it's like, and there's the third one, obviously, the price of gold going up. By that, I mean closing above 2080, 2100 and starting to move up 2500. And since the market is so forward looking, maybe then everyone starts to pile in and say, okay, gold is going to run for years now or something like that. And then people start to pile in. So a bank or a market crash is number one. Two is earnings, better earnings. And three is just gold and silver going up. And therefore if the underlying metals go up, then the mines that are mining them have to go up. I don't care what's going on. So those are the three principles for me that can turn this market, non-technical principles. And it's in no particular order. It's just something I thought I'd start off by saying, because down here, this doesn't really make sense, but what will it take to turn? Maybe that's it. And maybe there's a fourth and fifth that I haven't really thought of just now. I'm just sort of, spur of the moment coming up with this. All right, let's start with Newmont. So, first of all, that's why I zoomed out, because we have to go that far back to see the next levels. We have touched below the COVID lows. That's crazy stuff. That's when markets were crashing, everything went down, and then they decided to print to infinity, which is what led to inflation. And to be honest, ever since this moment, all the miners, along with gold's done it, but all the miners should have just gone up and kept going. But here we are below. What a gift. But the gift just keeps on coming, not in the good way. So what comes next? First of all, did we actually close below the COVID lows? And we did, actually. Now, I think it's so close to the COVID low, it doesn't count too much. It really is on my line. It's pretty crazy stuff. We did go below it, but let's just say roughly we're at the COVID lows, and we are. What comes next? Honestly, oh, look, there's a gap there. No, I think 32.79, we're going to have to play it safe here. Every unit. So $32, you'd expect a bit of support at 32. That is actually where that tiny gap is. So let's just say 32 is a mini level. But honestly, even 31, you can see 31. I think what we need to do is start getting a bit more surgical about it. So here you can see 31 was a level. You can see it was resistance. It back tested. So 31 is also a level. And then obviously 30 and below that 29. So you know what? For Newmont, it's just every $1 increment, but in particular 30. Big round number. You can see a lot of sideways chop. So for me, 30 is the big one, but otherwise 29, 31, 32. Okay, those are levels on the way down. Now on the way up, I think prior, and this is badly done, prior support, let's say 30, 33.5. 33.5 actually is a bit of resistance, but that can be done in one day easily. And to be honest, if we're going up, since we're so oversold, I think it would be quite easy to close above 33.5 on one day. And if we do close above 33.5, maybe it's over here actually, 34, preferably 34, then we can start to move up. And I'm going to say this is your first level of resistance actually. You know, it looked all quite good on this Thursday, and then bam, the Friday was bad and set up a bad week. And here we are closing at the low of day on that week. So let's just say 1 unit increments. So here we are at 32.8. First of all, it needs to close below 32, then you go to 31, then 30 is the big one, and then 29 is like your last. You can fake out below 30, and then you got to bounce at 29. Otherwise, it looks like there's a bit of a move lower, but we're not going to look at anything below 29 just yet. I'm not that pessimistic for next week. On the way up, 33.5, preferably 34, and then you can move all the way up here to 35.6, let's call it. That's all I'm going to cover. I'm not going to start looking at higher levels because it doesn't deserve that. Next one, Barrick Gold. Look at this, just lower, lower, lower. All these red days, absolutely crazy stuff with a mini gap fill here. So I don't really see anything until this low down here. Let's zoom out, see where we are. Look, we hit this level down here several times. That's why I've got it. So $14 is the next one. A bit like Newmont, we're really going to do 1 unit increments. So obviously we can bounce. We'll cover the moves up in a second. But on the way down, I'm going to say $14. After that, 13.8 is the same thing. After that, do we have this little day here? 13.5. Let's say 13.5 is a possible dip. I mean, between 14 and basically 13. So you know what, forget it. 14 and 13. It is possible it bounces at 13.5. We can have little 50-cent increments. Now, if we were to go below this, which I don't see happening within the week, then let's call it the COVID low. The COVID low should be relevant. I think a few people will be looking at that, and that is the next candle after 13. Let's call that 12.5-ish. And then, yeah, then you've got this level here. Then you've got 12, then you've got 11, then you've got 10 1 unit increments. At least they're simple to read. If you're going to go down, at least make it simple for me to look at what level's next. Now, on the way up, yeah, 15. Nice and simple. After that, actually, that looks like a bit of a level here. Let's call it 15.5-ish. I think if you're above 15.5, you can consider yourself back within this little channel here. And then really what you need on the way up, and we're far from this, but a close above 16. It looks far away, but you can do that in 1 week. A good week, and you can do that, and then you're back looking at the moves on the way up. So really 1 unit increments with 1 or 2 exceptions. Agnico-Eagle, this one's a bit stronger. Nice move up from the low of day. Now we've closed within this level. You can see here, look at these candles here. So 46.5 is a bit of a level. We're above it with 46.62. Nothing crazy. Levels on the way down, 46. After that, mini gap fill. What have we got here? 45. I just want to keep it simple. Maybe there's a small move here at 45.3, a tiny gap fill. It's really surgical stuff. But otherwise, even though this is not really a level, 45 is not a level, but I would consider it a halfway point. between where it is now and this low down here, which actually is below 44. 44 doesn't seem to be a level, even though it's a 1 unit increment. I would just consider this one here. 43.5 actually is a bit of a level. Funnily enough, this kind of, let's just do the low point. 43.5, interesting. Now on the way up, you'd really want to close above these candles. 47.5. You can see why I say that. Look, a little support on these days and then resistance on these days. So 47.5 for some reason is a bit of a level. Close above 48 and you've cleared all these candles and you can start moving back into this zone. You really want to get back to the 49 level, because once you're back above 49, 48.5, 49, then you're back into this old channel. And then actually looks like you want to move up. So I mean, it is requiring a bit of a move, but it can be done in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 days. And these are not big days. And then you're back into a channel and you start to look a bit more bullish, you know, and then people look back and say, oh, was that the low? So it's when things look darkest that you should buy. You know, it's easy to say blood on the streets, but it is true too. All right, let's look at Pan American Silver. Ooh la la, this one dipped its toes below 13. Look at that, 12.8. We did close above 13. Is it relevant? It'd be better if it would close above these candles, these lows. But anyway, off the lows, above 13. This is a crazy steal. Next stop, really, you know, the COVID lows are 11. You do have a little bit of another one here at 10, just before COVID, though. That's not COVID times. That's a few months before. So, but between 13 and 11, that's a bit of a drop. I know it doesn't, it's a couple of centimeters on my screen, but it is, you know, 15%. That's asking a bit much. So we're probably not going to get to the COVID lows, thankfully. But honestly, like I said, I'm looking forward to big drops now, because you might as well, right? I've got all this cash on the sidelines. I'm not really going in because it's close to where I already have my holdings. And the value of my holdings, by the way, I don't think I covered this in this video, but I did in my last video. The value of my holdings is still within the range of, it's like I either have light, medium, or heavy holdings. And at the moment, they're still kind of medium heavy, even though they've gone down in value. Especially my seniors and my royalties, they're kind of heavy. So they're going towards medium because they're losing value. So for example, instead of having $5,000 in each stock, it's kind of low 4,000s, but it needs to be at 4,000 before I start activating my next tranches. And it's not there yet. So it's not super heavy, but it's still considered medium heavy. So if they were to go down, if the whole sector goes down a bit, then it becomes 4,000, and then it becomes, okay, it's medium. You want to make it heavy because we're at absolute lows, right? You want your bags to be heavy down here, not when they're up there. That's when you want to lighten the load. So for that reason, and because I'm in the middle of a bit of a transfer, I haven't actually added the last week. So I do look forward to a drop, actually, because then I can actually buy. That's one of the benefits, psychological benefits of having cash in the sidelines. You actually want to lose money so you can add. So, I mean, I've had enough of losing money down here or constantly. I wanted to make money, but, you know, I'm halfway there. So let's finish the job, put me out of misery, so to speak, so I can actually add and use my cash on the sidelines. Anyway, I don't think we're going to go all the way down to 11 or 10, which is the next level. I might add that since I'm there. But we are at 13, so we are technically holding that 13 point, although we are below the lows that's made here. But I'm going to consider where it is now as part of this level, okay? Because we're just too far away from 11, and I don't see any other levels. If I was to open this up and get a bit more surgical, which I did last time, I can't see a clear, right? We know where we are. It's here. I don't see, like, what is it? This low, what number are we? 12.5, nothing obvious, nothing obvious. I can see, you know, these are the lows and I know the big number, but there's nothing incredibly obvious. Maybe 12, you know, from this gap, even though the gap's been filled here, but you can see maybe the low there, but it's nothing obvious. So for me, I wouldn't try and make something up. I know that GDX or GDXJ or silver will probably more likely be at a level if we're going down. So I'd probably look at those. If there's nothing obvious, then don't force it. But 11 for me is a bit obvious, COVID low, and 12 also because of the pre-COVID low. So that covers the levels on the way down. 13, 11, 10. On the way up, let's reset this. Honestly, we need to get back up here. Close above, let's say 13.4. And then you can say you're back in this level. Yeah, above 13.4, especially 13.5, you can say next stop is 14, and then this level here. I'm going to add 14. I think it's a bit relevant. It's like the high of here, and more importantly, the high of this day where everything looked good. It was the best close in weeks. So I'm just going to do a mini level there, I think 14, but you've really got to close above 13.4, which should be easy to do. All right, so a little bounce, and a lot of them should bounce quite hard. Honestly, a little bounce, and like all of them, if once you're back into this channel during the mid-January level, you could hear a few people say we've seen the low, but again, depends on yields, dollar, gold, silver. And then yeah, 14. Let's not go above that, but I think all the horizontal levels, none of these are breached because none of them were visited, so nothing is changed in that respect. Wheaton, another one that's closed just at a bit of a level. Was it below? Yeah, but just by 0.5 millimeter, so we're not going to care. I'll just readjust it. So we're at 45.5-ish, just below, but I think it doesn't matter too much. Let's cover the levels on the way down. I don't see, it's hard to call this one. Yeah, we have some pre-gap, post-gap levels. So 44, 43.5, nice 50-cent increments there, big round numbers, if you will. After that 42, Wheaton is very strong defensively. I don't see it really going down this far. That would be a catastrophe in the sector if Wheaton goes down there. So next stop, I don't even think we'll get there, but 44. Is 45 a level? Yeah, because it went there. So actually 45 is a bit of a level. That's the low on Friday, and it's a round number, and it's a bit of a support resistance from in the past. So 45, 44, 43.5 on the way up. I think if we were to be above 47, it's not the strongest level, but these two candles here, the open and the open on the blue day, sorry, the close on the blue day, the open on the red day, that also round number 47, also a bit of a midpoint between these two, also a bit of a level in the past there. I think if you're closing above 47, honestly, you're looking strong very quickly. And actually, it's within the channel that it's been trading for a while, so it's already within the channel. It's not looking that breached at the moment, but closing above 47, you're going to visit the highs, and then you start to look really strong, actually. So this is one of the stocks I should have mentioned at the beginning as one of the ones that are doing very strong. So Wheaton looks good. I think those are the levels. Franco Nevada, I shouldn't be at Metalla. Franco Nevada, one that I accidentally deleted. This one's actually gone. I mean, I bought this one. I think I was a bit lucky. I bought it down in the drop, so actually I'm up on it. So no catastrophe for me. I'm just wondering now. I've seen something. Does this count? No. Okay. Okay. So first of all, the levels on the way down doesn't look like it's in a downtrend too much. It's had actually quite a decent week. So first of all, 104. Right, you can see that the lows from this one, especially this one, we touched 104. After that, it's the only low before then, which is 102. And then after that, you'd expect 100, but I don't see 100 as a level, bit of a level actually, but I think this is more of a level. Look how strong this is. First of all, it's not the COVID low. The COVID low is down here, but it's a bit of a level during the COVID decline. And more importantly, look at this ascending one. Now, we didn't have a pivot. We didn't touch it on the way down for several months, even years, actually. But I do think if it were to start coming down, it would bounce off that. So I think 96-ish. I could be off by 1 or 2 units here, but this level, 95 maybe, 95, 96 should be a very strong spot. But I don't even see this going down there. So let's just say 104, 102, and definitely 96, which I don't see is going to on the way up. And these royalties are doing quite good, aren't they? I'm just wondering if there's a bit of a descending move, like something like that. I don't like to add levels, but I just feel like that would be one. Yeah, 112 looks pretty. Once we start to move up here, it's got a bit of a pop potential. Yeah, so 100, it depends how long it takes to get there. But look at this, 111, 112. You start to close above 112. Honestly, you should catapult up 114. You can touch that real quick, and above 114, and you're going higher. You're going higher, and this one won't count. I think it will be, time to zoom out and look more medium term. This support will be the resistance to expect. if we start to move higher. Do you see that? A little bam, hit little resistance here. If you go higher, little resistance there, and then up you go. And then I don't know whether it's here or there. Probably here. I could do a midpoint average, but there you go. That's Franco Nevada for you. Those are levels on the way up and on the way down. Metalla is the next one. Need to make sure I follow the right list. Look at this one. Down it went. It was doing quite strong up here. I remember $3 holding well whilst everything else was going down. And then bam, that one day it just closed the gap. Bounce, recovered, back up. No, you don't. Sector's going down. And here we are. Testing, but not yet closing below the low of this point here. This 2.6. So far we're still within it. We haven't made new lows since then, but look at that chart, it's destroyed. What's next? Well, first of all, level on the way down. Let's cover 2.6. You know what? It's time to readjust it. It's the low on that Thursday. All right, it's kind of the same area, but let's call it 2.55, maybe even 2.54. That's the low. If you close it below this one, let's call it 2.54. It'd be better if it was 2.5, it'd be more obvious, but down you go. And where do you go? It's very hard to tell. Where do you go? It's very hard to tell. Well, first of all, we're at this 2.545554. Where do you go after that? It's just so hard. Probably have to look at the GDX and gold and silver, but I see a bit of a bottom down here, 2.3. So I'd say 2.3, right? Lots of side. It does dip below it, but 2.3. Especially 2.2. I don't know. This level's a lot more easier to call. The $2. It's actually 1.9, but I'm gonna say $2. $2 and I'm gonna say 2.25 because we have a few touching 2.2, but whatever. 2.25 and 2. So we just created out of thin air. Something like this, right? Something like this. I know I will remember where it's come from. So there you go, Metalla, 2.25. Otherwise, let's hold this 2.55-ish zone, shall we? Next one, let's start looking at the silver ones. First Majestic. Ooh la la, look at this one. Low, not lower lows, but lower highs, which I do like because once you break out of it, it's a nice breakout to play. This definitely does work. This exists. This is a real descending one, which I like. We're holding, look at this level here, 4.5 something, 4.54 is holding. And then we have 4.54, we have 4.44 and all this. There's a lot of support here. Even if you get flushes, I expect lots of, it's just the entire area is a level. I remember this one. It's the more you zoom out, the more you see where all the lines are coalescing from. So you've got this huge, over a decade long support zone ascending and the COVID horizontal all coinciding at the same point. Now, I know there's a few, we've got 4.2 on, that's probably the COVID low. We've got this huge ascending multi-year one over a decade long, like 1.5 decade long, coming up around 4.4. And if you're off by a millimeter, you're off by like a couple of 10 or 20 cents. So I'm going to call this entire zone support. The entire zone is support. So I wouldn't get too fancy with stop losses. I don't even use stop losses, especially in the sector I believe in. I use psychological ones if I am going to use them. And not on the moment, but like the day later if it's really close below. But anyway, here is really where you don't want to own a stop loss, especially if you believe in the sector. This should be extremely strong support. Let's see if I'm wrong. I mean, if the metals start flushing, if gold starts to go down to 1975, you're going to have to see a drop down. But is there a bounce from the low? Where does it close? I really wouldn't get bearish. It's a bit late to be bearish, but below $4 close, and then you can start saying, whoa, I think we've reached all these lines. Otherwise, if your low is 4.2, even below that, you may still be within the support zone. Now, where do you, and after 4, I haven't even looked. After 4, I mean, once you lose this, wow, 3, I don't see any crazy support until 3, and even below 3, what's this low down here? 2.4. Let's see. I'm not going to draw anything until we close below 4. Now, on the way up, honestly, you could get a bit of a super boost if you close above this descending. So let's call that. Imagine it happens on Monday immediately. 4.7. A close above 4.7, you can catapult quickly to, especially up here, 4.8. 4.8 would be better. Close above 4.8 and you go straight to 5. I can see why I put 4.9 there. Look at these, several candles really failed to close above it, including the one where we would close quite high. 4.9 is a bit of a mini level. 5 isn't actually a level, strangely enough. And then this high here, yeah, I agree with that. 5.1, and then you can claim back this territory. This would be great to be back here. But yeah, I'm going to say a close above 4.7, but preferably 4.8, and you're looking good. You're looking like 4.9 is inevitable, maybe even 5.1. If you close above 5.1, let's go for this. This should be big-ish resistance, 5.4, because that was prior support. We flushed it, we haven't retested it, but when we do, it should be resistance. But if you can close back above 5.4, you can play in this little territory. And then you see the horizontal lines. A lot of this is gap fill stuff, but I think it makes sense. So I'm going to leave that as it is. Next one should be Fortuna. Wow. Closed at low of day, lost its support. Down we go. Went below here. You could see on Thursday we just held it, but it was another red day. Yeah, this is the next support zone. I kind of agree with that. Let's call it 2.8-ish. Obviously, you can go below there, 2.75. Actually, 2.75 is more support. And then after that, you got 2.6. And after that, you got just above 210-ish, maybe even 220. I agree with that. I also don't think we'll go that low. This is serious, kind of expect serious support here. You're not allowed to go through here like this. On the way up, first of all, you want to close back above this 3. Yeah, back above 3. If you're back above 3, you're back into this little sandbox, 3 to 320, where you can just go sideways, ding dong, up, down, up, down. And then once you close above 3.2, then you can start playing with this resistance, 3.4, and then you got the gap fill, 3.5, and then you're back in this zone. Maybe you play with the gap fill, but this is an entire zone for me. And then you're looking good. But at the moment, very weak, close at low of day. So all horizontals, I see no sloping, ascending or descending. This is all correct. Next one, EXK. This is just, my goodness me. If this was a fish, I would just slap it against some concrete. All right, 1.5, yeah, 1.5 is support. We've hit it already. We didn't retest it, but my goodness, we're close to doing that. You do not want to close below 1.5, but you easily could. Look at this detestable movement. And yeah, it was so weak. I actually went through the trouble already of checking all the next levels. You can see what I've done there, just the lows of all these higher lows back when it was in a very strong uptrend. You know, what a difference a couple of months make here. But yeah, so after 1.5, you're going to see 1.35. Next support would be 1.2. Next support would be 1. I don't see us going down to 1. That'd be a 30% drop. That's asking a bit too much. It's already done a lot of the drops. The resistance, honestly, the descending, you got to close above it. So if you were to move up, I'd expect the first resistance to still be the descending. If you were to close above the descending, 1.8. You know what? It might just be the descending is the only one. Yeah, 1.8 is a bit of a level just because this support from down here. And then after that, 2.3. I don't really see 2 as being a level at all, actually. So actually what you see is correct for me. I don't see the point in removing or adding anything else. Next one would be Coeur d'Arlène. I love this one when things are looking good, to be honest. It's normally one of the weakest ones ever on the move down, but that's not the case. It's pretty good movement actually in the last 2 weeks, all things considered. I don't see any need to change anything. What you see is what you get. No, maybe there's a little descending. Can you play that through there? Yeah, you could do that. Wow. Let's look at the 15 minutes. What I always do, zoom out. Look at that. Looks beautiful. A close above this level, let's call it 2.7, 2.75. Up you go up here, $3, big round number, easy resistance, easy to call. We'll go We'll touch it, go backwards, little cup and handle. Once you close above 3, you'll do the gap fill to 3.2. Everything looks good. On the way down, 2.5 after that. Yeah. $2, but you're not going down all the way to $2. And even this little gap fill, I think you're going to have some pit stops bounces before then. Is it in silver? Is it in the GDXJ? Is it in SILJ? I don't know, but let's see. It's actually looking quite strong, and I'm very happy about that because this one moves very fast on the way up. This looks coiled for a move up actually. If we have a nice move up, some of these will move quite a lot, and this might be the biggest mover. So CDE looks good. Next one, Discovery Silver. The only junior I hold, unless you define any of these other ones as juniors. By junior, I mean just sort of below $1. 4.5. Where are we here? We're at 4.5. Where did we go? 4.3. Okay, I didn't know that was a level. It's strange though. This is illiquid. The spread is strange. The bids and the offers are not, or the bids and the ask, they're not really real sometimes because it's not the most illiquid stock, that's for sure. But I still think it's 0.45 is the real level. I would ignore some of these tails. Yeah, so 40, 45, and then 50, 50, 54. It's almost in 50-cent 0.05 cent increments. I think the levels remain correct. Look at this, another one that's very much coiled. But I believe CDE would act better on its coiled breakouts than this one because it's very illiquid. This one here. If you breach 40, I think it's just 10-cent increments. Nothing very obvious. 30 cents, 20 cents. It's hard to call, but I really would prefer this one doesn't break down below 40 because it's hard to call, and I'm just not up for losing more money in this one. All right, next one is Aris Mining. One of the better performing ones, like Goldfields, like Wheaton, like a few others that escape me. This used to be a level, but honestly, I think it's losing its pronouncement. Let's say this one's hard to call. 2.9, 2.8, make it an average, plus minus 5 cents. This, let's ignore it. I'm going to say around 2.85. It might be 2.9. It might be 2.8. You know, roughly this area is support. If we go lower, then it's going to be descending roughly on the way up. It's going to be the high of the last couple of 1 or 2 weeks. Let's just say here, 3.2-ish. Close above that, and you start to attack the upside very quickly. 3.4, 3.5, 3.6. I have to make rough F. This one also, the spread. This is quite liquid compared to the others, but it can overshoot on the upside and on the downside, even on a closing basis. So you have to really be a bit rough with this one, but it's, you know, not like the others going lower lows. It's still in an actual uptrend. So this one is strong for a reason. It's a good stock. I'm just going to leave the horizontals as it is. They speak for themselves. This one, I don't mind. Very happy sleeping well at night with this one. But this one wakes me up now and then. Just poor stock. Company is okay, I guess. I don't know too much about it. It doesn't interest me that much. But one that I want to get rid of when the move up returns, I'd prefer to be in something else. But it hasn't gone down too much. I mean, it was already in a downtrend, so it hasn't disappointed because I'm used to it. Unlike, let's say, Barrick, Pan America, for example. It's a good thing. Mag Silver is probably worth me doing this, but I compare how much it's gone down, how much Mag Silver's gone down in a month, comparing it to Pan American Silver. And if Pan American Silver's gone down more, cool. Let me dump Mag Silver, throw it into Pan American Silver, and the whole thing was worth it, relatively speaking. Anyway, levels wise, this one just below $9. Why do I have this line here? It's a rough one. Support from back here. Seems to be working roughly. After that, why do I have this one here? That one confuses me a bit because of this. Must be because of this. That's why it started there. Maybe here this makes sense. It's the low from this sort of entire week. I mean, the COVID low of $4, forget about it. That's never happening. It's just, illegal stuff almost. But, you know, if we to zoom in, look, the low of the last 2-3 weeks, there has been just below 9. So let's call it 8.8. Look at this. This Thursday, at least we had a, well, we had a green day, right? We had a green day on Friday, so that's okay. This descending, though, definitely counts. So let's see if we can break out of that one there and then move up. If we are to move up, then it's hard to call, actually. For some reason, this Thursday candle that I've seen a lot of stocks, maybe a close above that would do something. But I see like, where is support? Where was X support? Kind of here-ish. I have to make a bit of an average candle. It's like this zone. Zoom out. Do you see what I mean? You know, this was support. It was sort of just below 10. Support was really $10, but you could see it went below. And as soon as we lost it, we retested it, 9.75, and went down. So maybe 9.75 is a good place to consider the real resistance of the $10. So 9.75 to $10 is a bit of resistance, but I'm going to leave the resistance of this Thursday high candle. And then after that, we're back into, you know, above the $10 zone, at which point maybe this really is the resistance. And then after that, the high over here. Okay, I'll leave that as it is. It's a bit rough, this one here. Next one is SBSW. This one that follows also palladium, platinum. It's not just a gold and silver miner, but it pretty much follows the same trajectory because again, this one is near its COVID lows. Now I did buy the bounce nicely, but I never sold. I re-added, I think, on this drop, but it's below my average now, I believe, by a few cents. It doesn't really mean anything. This one moves a lot, very fast. It's a bit like CDE in that respect, and a lot of other ones. But here we've pretty much lost the support level of this area here. You know, what was that, 4.3 or something? So we're just below it. We did close a high of day. There's that going for it. So it actually looks like it wants to go back into this range. But you know, if you look at platinum and palladium charts, they look worse than well, much worse than gold chart, worse than silver charts. Especially palladium. We do actually sort of have to look at palladium and platinum a little bit for this one. Look here, we're going towards the lower end, in my opinion. Close at low of day down here. Looks like we want to go to the bottom of this support level. And palladium, look at that. Look at that. This bounce was amazing. Retracement was strange. Bounce was inevitable but weak. And that was also a bit obvious that it would at least retest because we just gone to new lows. So it's going to bounce and come back a little bit because that's too much. But it's going to be weak because of this retracement, it went all the way and even below from where it bounced from. And now here we are testing this absolute low from down here. We're way past the COVID low. So palladium is just something in itself. Look at that close at low of day, down 3% on Friday. So this looks like there's nothing stopping it going down here. And to be honest, I mean, it will probably bounce from here. Could go even lower. But then palladium becomes the buy of the century to some respect. So SBSW, I expect more downside if it's going to follow, you know, palladium. I mean, it doesn't just follow palladium, but I do expect more downside, and I do actually think it could go, you know, below its $4 and even all the way down to 350 to hit the COVID lows. Why not? At which point I probably will add a little more. I don't have full position. I thought something like this was possible, but there you go. At the moment, I mean, it is outperforming its palladium chart, but that's because it isn't just a palladium player. So support level we've got here. Let's see if we can reclaim it. Otherwise, we've got $4. Otherwise, we've got 350 on the way down. On the way up, we have this 430, and then we've got the resistance, you know, pretty much $5. And then mini ones 540, and then 580. There you go. No ascending, no descending. That's all there is. Right, after SBSW, honestly, that's all of mine done. Now it's a question of going through the subscriber ones. So EGO, I start with this one. This one is one of the stronger ones. Look at this chart, it looks great. I mean, compared to the others. So we've moved, you know, up. I have to zoom out a little bit. Here you can see, let's cover the resistance actually first. So here we got, first it's got to take out $13. After that, we've got $13.50. And after that, we've got $14.50. I remember those levels. Covered this one for several weeks now. On the way down, we've got this level, and that seemed to have worked on Friday. So that's 1180, just below 12. You can see why we've hit that several times. Then there's sort of this level, 1150. Honestly, if we start to close below 1180, we could just start flushing all the way down. Depends what's going on in the metal and the miners. But I do see this small level, potential level here. You can see why. Just it was resistance on these two occasions. And then when we broke out, we never really retested. But then maybe it was 1180. So I'm just going to say 1150, 1145, 1150 is potential zone. But after that, honestly, I see nothing until 1030. And then all the way down here, which I think we're far from going there, but 850, if there's an absolute colossal flush in all the sector, the metals, then this one will have to go down and it will still be bullish. So I think that's all you need to really know for now. I don't think there's a point in adding anything else. There's maybe this one ascending you could add, but that's about it. There's quite a few lines here, but most of them will never be touched, I reckon. Right, Hecla. Hecla's interesting, isn't it? Look at that. 360. The support from all the way down here. We've been playing with it. We've closed below it, but then, to be honest, Thursday and Friday not the worst candles. Looks like we want to reclaim it. So actually, this 360 level, we're still within it. And that close, it was a green close despite a red day. That's good. So Hecla's got that going for a nice hammer. So basically, we're within the 360 level. And actually, it's not 360. You know, look at the bottom of this tail. We add that into consideration. We always close within it. So actually, let's call it 355 or something. Oh, and in reality, it's actually 340. So yeah, this entire area can be considered a level, right? Don't be too precise about it. It's just the whole level. So yeah, if we lose that, go on. Let's look at, wow, $3. I think I placed that there out of thin air, even though it's not actually a level, because I think the next real level, which is down here, 270, I think that's too far away. So between 350 and 270, it's a bit of a move. You know, 20%. Sorry, Hecla's not going to do that. I don't care what's going on. So it's going to bounce at least somewhere, and $3 is the only round number. So I think that's what I did there, and I agree with that. It was also a level. Was it? Actually, never was really a level. Anyway, I do agree with that still. So after 340, I'd say 3, and after that 270 on the way up. Yes, correct. It was price support over here. It's also near a round number. Let's call it 390 to $4. It's actually 390, I think. Resistance. So let's get back in there. After that, it's, yes, this area. Sometimes it's hard to tell. You got 10 cents. Sometimes I just put it in between both so that I sort of get a rough average correct. So let's call it 415, probably 420. Between 410 and 420, you've got this resistance. And then you've got the top of this resistance, 450, 455. And then you've got the gap fill, 470. And then you're going to run into the descending, which you will encounter before hitting this 515. So I think the levels are correct. It does look okay down here, but then again, you just retraced a massive move. What a buy this would be. You know, if gold and silver start to break out and run, Hecla down here is the low. If you keep going down, I mean, you're talking about March lows, you know, COVID lows being possible. If you start to flush and going down to this 270 zone, that's the last support until you're really down there. That's crazy. Hecla, great company, especially for silver. I mean, you've got to own Hecla if you're owning silver. I don't actually. I wanted to buy a position, but still haven't. But I'm good elsewhere. I've got silver covered, and actually at the moment I'm not running after aggressive silver companies. I'm more after the seniors and royalties as we go down. I just want to be a bit more defensive because gold is very high. You know, what happens if gold goes down? For whatever reason, interest rate related, and the miners can always go down more than you think, as we all know. Okay, next one is B2 Gold. Another one that I want to buy and didn't yet because my holdings are good and I'm in the middle of a transfer. Lucky me, because this one I'd be down on. I definitely would have bought it already. I would have bought it on this level here. First of all, let's cover the levels below before I zoom in and see what that candle actually looks like. We can see it closed red on the day. We can see it lost that 260 level. And why did I have that level? Because that was the low on this big red day. And then it actually looked quite good. I remember it had a bad day. I forgot if it was earnings or news, whatever, it doesn't matter. The next days it was really good. It was green when the sector was red, so it wanted to bounce. It kind of retraced almost the whole move. Back down we go with the sector. And now we've closed on the level, right? Pretty much. It's okay. It's not the worst candle. It's like bounced decently off our lows. We kind of closed on the levels, call it 260. Now, let's cover the levels on the way down. So first of all, this 263, 260 level is a level. Maybe the low on Friday is a real level. Also, 260 doesn't matter. Now, this ascending is something real, right? Look at this. Goes through here, goes through here, goes to the COVID low, and we haven't touched it yet. If we were to touch it soon, it would be around 250. Maybe even 240. So 240, 250 is a level. We're at 263. It's the same thing. What's the difference? It's the same thing. This is a good buy. Now, if you were to lose it because everything's going down and you're not allowed to just hold this level, even though it should be a strong level, I could see the COVID lows. That's 220. And this is a really, what is it, 6% dividend or something, B2 Gold? And it's got really good forecasts for the future, like production-wise. I think fundamentally it's a very good company, but the chart is bad. And that is the type of thing that should be perfect for, let's say, an investor, someone who can be nimble and start a position at a very bad time. I think it's great. And I think it'll be the first thing I buy once my transfer is complete and once even before the holdings of the sector diminish to the point where I need to add more. I just think this is such a good opportunity, this one. More so than Hecla, because this is more of a sound invest. I mean, no, it's less risky. It's more defensive, let's say. And I don't mind waiting with a 5-6% dividend. So yeah, those are the levels on the way down. You got your 220 cut COVID low. You've got your 245, let's call it, ascending long-term support. Very credible stuff. And then where you are now, 260, and the difference between all of that, especially between 260 and the very strong, it should be very strong ascending support. It's 5-6%, but still, that's nothing in terms of big moves. Okay, next one is SSRM. So SSRM, this one looks pretty good. And to be honest, I've read up on it recently. I think it was on Saturday. And by the way, today's another day I've had to split this video up a little bit because it's quite long and I've had quite a few things to do. But SSRM, its price at the moment, it's very, very cheap. I read this article from, was it Taylor Darton, Seeking Alpha, and he basically says it's as good a purchase, maybe if not better than Pan American Silver. I think it's classified as a mid-tier producer, but buys back a lot of shares, decent dividend, the price, everything, all things considered, it's very, very cheap. So this one I wanted to buy this one actually a few weeks ago. So SSRM and BTG are actually the ones that I'm most likely to buy when I think the bottom is in, or when I have more of a drop in the value of my holdings that warrant a new addition. So more buying of a particular existing holding or a new holding. So maybe SSRM and BTG are the ones I'll buy next. Anyway, technically, where are we? We're at a support zone, so 9.5-ish. Why did I have that one there? Yeah, you can see from back here, it was a bit of a gap fill. Now, we did go low on the COVID low. We did go to 9. And I think we were at 10. Where were we before? What was the support before that? I think I have removed it. Why 9.5? Because it's a nice number. And yes, it was the gap fill here, roughly. Well, anyway, it is where it is because we've been trading here for 2 weeks and 9.5-ish, maybe just below. I might as well adjust it. Let's call it 9.3 is the low. And to be honest, look at this close on Friday. Friday, a day where SSRM was up. The others were not necessarily up. So outperforming. For me, it looks strong. It does look strong. Obviously, the miners can go down, metals can go down, and it would have to go down. And if it does, so if we do lose this 9.3 support or close below it, and it wants to go lower, obviously 9 is support. That's the COVID low. It's a big round number. If we go below that, 8.5, looks like 50-cent increments, roughly. But the point is, I think it looks very good. Feel like it's exhausted the selling a little bit here. And I think on a move up, where's the resistance? Is it also 50-cent increments? Maybe not necessarily $10. I think that's easy to take out. I think the descending is the first real line of resistance. Maybe here-ish, right? You can see here the support. bit of resistance. Maybe 10.5 is the first area of resistance. But I feel like you'll hit this descending. If we start to move up in the whole sector, you'll quickly hit this descending. Maybe just have a bit of sideways action for 1 or 2 days, depends what's happening. And then up we go. And honestly, there's not much resistance because it's been decimated. The first real area of resistance will be here, maybe just before that. 11, maybe 11.5, the first area where you'll find a bit of resistance. But this really long term, this one, from what I've read and from what I can see on the chart, should do very well. I mean, can you double your money? It should be trading at least up here, probably. To get to $20, you can get a 100% move in this. You just need gold and silver to make new highs and keep those highs and run. And then the margins get very good. But it might be worth reading up on this stock because this one is if I have to equal it to something, it's Pan American Silver, and I love that one. So SSRM, BTG, very nice. Okay, next one, Kinross. This one was in the gutter when the others weren't. I remember over here it had a hard time rallying. I think it was this Russian operation that it had to put on hold. But since then, it's actually outperformed. Now, it has dropped a little bit. There used to be a bit of an ascending support here. And where was that ascending support? Might have been some simple one here, but it's just lost. Anyway, you can see it's lost this one here, this 530. Bam, on Friday also, we lost it and down we go here. I think it actually fell to a bit of a support zone. Right, the lows from down here. If we lose it again, then I would assume the ascending support becomes support, maybe $5 by then. 5 is a nice number too. Maybe it flushes $5, but bounces just below. A lot of stocks like to do that. Just flush 5, take out all the stops, and then bam, up you go. Probably close above 5 the day it flushes below it. But okay, today, by the way, Monday morning, not that early, but the market hasn't opened yet. I think we're gonna have a bit of a green day, just silver doing okay today. But that's why we're up pre-market. But I think we are at this 5 level of support. So we closed the low of day, but we're probably going to hold that today. Let's see what happens when the market opens. So this level 520, maybe 515, let's say. And then just below 5, the ascending support. If we keep going down, then it'll be this level here, 430. Or do we stop off here where we stopped off before? I don't know. Because going from 5 to 4 is 430 is quite a big move. So there might be a bit of a pit stop here on the way, let's say. On the way up, price support becomes resistance, so 530. And after that, honestly, it might even be this high here that needs to be breached. But yeah, those are all the levels I can see. Most of them horizontal, just one ascending, or maybe this one if it starts to go down. Kinross, I think it's pretty easy to call the levels on this one. So let's see what happens. Next one, Equinox. This is the one. Sorry, I got it confused. Equinox with Kinross. Equinox, the one that's just lost ascending support. Look at this. This you can see. Obviously, we had this bit of a move down here. I think there were a few companies that had this sort of drop and back up. Barrick Gold had something very similar. But okay, ascending support, we just lost it. We closed below it. We were about to flush more. I could add, I feel like this low from this day, we did close above it. That might be the very last sort of the last opportunity to stay within this area, but otherwise down you go, in my opinion. And actually pre-market's down, despite the metals being up a little bit, but not by much. So it's on the absolute edge of the cliff and ready to drop. It's not the biggest cliff, but it's going to drop down 2 or 3 floors of a building. And for me, $4, nice round number, also the low from down here. So if Equinox does fail here, and it hasn't really come down as much as some other stocks, so it could do it. It could just be a washout flush and back up if the sector does well here. But yeah, it's lost this ascending support, and this is a pretty significant one. It's lasted for months, maybe even months. Now, if we start to climb back up here, that would be nice. And look at this; it could actually be on the cusp of a little. Something was bound to break here. It was a pennant getting tighter and tighter, and it looks like it's breached to the downside, the area of least resistance, given the trend at the moment. But if we go back up here and reclaim this ascending, you could quickly start testing. And look at these 2 little candles here, this 450, or close above 450. Zoom in, imagine that. That means you've taken out these 2, and you're probably outside of this descending because it's off by not off by much. Look at that. Close above 450, and then you can start running. I don't know how high, depends on the sector, but yeah, this one could move. So if we are to really keep going down, then $4 after, sorry, yeah, $4 after that. Is that a gap? 380? Doesn't matter too much. Then 340. Yeah, I think so. Nothing really in between. This gap, I don't think is too relevant on a daily candle. If we start to go up, a close above 450, and then you can start moving. I don't even see 5 as resistance. I would say 520 actually. And then we'll see 570, etc. Okay, Goldfield. This one moves pretty wildly. Look at these moves. So, it's the level I used to have. You can see it did hang around there. Just wondering if that's a level now. Because these, I think I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm going to leave the levels as I have them because at the moment, this is the low, 12, roughly 12, 1230. On the high is, let's say 16, 1650. It's quite, yeah, no, 1650 I'll do. Okay, we didn't reach it that time, but still 16 is an obvious level. It's a big round number. But it can go above. And then you need to have a midpoint because these are wild spreads. So, and this looks like it has worked on several occasions. So here, down here, support. And at the moment we've flushed a little bit. So on the way down, I think we're in the middle of no man's land actually. So if we start to go lower, then I'd say 1250-ish support. If we start to move up, you do have a bit of a level at 14, but if you can reclaim it, then start looking at 16, 1650. If, by the way, we start flushing 1250, then 1050. If we start to take out 16, 1650 in particular, then you can start looking at 1750. It's pretty wild, this one. It's a good stock, though. It's just I sold it a while ago because I thought there was very little upside. I think I sold, was it here or here? I forgot. I think it was here, actually, I sold it. And then it surprised me. It came all the way back up. I would still be down if I held it, but the money I used in other stocks went lower. So I should have just held Goldfields. I would have lost less, if you know what I mean. So there you go. Those are the levels. Good stock. I'm still surprised how much it moves up and down. Novagold, my goodness me. I don't know much about this stock. I used to follow, I mean, I used to have it on my watch list. I just never held this stock in the 10 plus years that I've been trading gold stocks, maybe more actually. So it looks like we're at a level. It looks like it's actually had a nice green day on that Friday. So this suggests oversold bounce. So I don't really see any levels on the way up. They don't really count these levels here. $3 maybe. I don't see any levels just from looking at the last 2-3 weeks of trading. If we start to move, we could move a lot. I mean, it's not going to make the move in one go, but I would say $3 round number also from what I just saw there when I zoomed out. What did I see? This candle here just stood out. But yeah, $3. And then, the actual support that it flushed from. So 330. So $3, 330. $3 is not a massive resistance, but they are. I don't see it taken out going higher than 330. That's a bit too much. Let me just add this one in just to give a time perspective how long until it hits resistance. So $3 and then back down again and then maybe double bottom, higher low, and off you go, take out the descending, and then you can start going into the $4 range. On the way down, it's going to be the last support, 220. And if we lose that $2, maybe not just because of the round number, but also because of this low down here. So there you go. That's kind of easy. And I like to trade these bounces actually, but I'm more holding now. I'm gonna stop being the swing trader I used to be of trading for every 3, 5, 7, 14 days and just hold for several months now. I think when you're down in the gutter, it's time to buy your best and then just hold. And, as long as you have the psychology, you can avoid these technical washouts and all this stuff. Got to go with your gut. So Novagold, that's the support and resistance. IamGold, that's just chopping really tightly here. you have a tight pennant, I guess you could force. I think we're okay with the levels we have, but I'm just wondering whether I should add this because this could give you an extra indication of which way it's going to go. But I'll leave it. I'll leave it. I already have that sort of going on here. So we're just in the middle of a pretty decent range, 270 on the upside, and then an ever increasing number on the downside. It's ascending. Let's call it. Imagine it was to flush now. 220 for now on the downside. 270. Let's see which way it closes. Does it close to the upside? I'm more likely to favor the upside because we've been destroyed so much that a move on the upside. And also it's held up quite well, right? Look at all the other stocks down, down, down. And this one's just chopping sideways. And if you zoom out, look what IamGold is. It's a massive, I mean, it went all the way up, down, up here, but all the stocks did very well in 2020, 2011, 2010, 2011. And they've all come down, to be honest, most of them. So this one looks like it just, look at that. That's a really nice chart. It looks like it just wants to slowly go up, close above this very important descending. Oh yeah, it is accurate. I'm missing this one because it then hits this, and this one makes more sense, I reckon. So, but you know, if you were to start closing above 280, definitely three, but 280, you've taken out all the resistance from this little local area, and then this major multi-year descending, and then it looks like it just wants to go to 3 and then 4, and then you start to zoom out, and oh my god, you know, this one can do what? Maybe it reminds me of EGO, Eldorado. Where's EGO? You know, long, you know, once you take out this area in Eldorado, 1450, it's time to zoom out, and then you realize, wow, we've got a long way to go. Look where it was before. Obviously, it's not going to go back here, but just reminds me of it. Okay, back to IamGold. This looks really good, especially given the fact it hasn't dropped like the others in the last couple of months. It's just you're drawn to the stocks that are being destroyed, but this one will probably go up more than the others, actually. And I know it's got very good growth potential, which is probably why the stock hasn't dropped as much recently. So on the way up, let's say 270, but definitely 280. You know, once you go a little higher, you know what this line is. It's the big one. So 270, and then you start testing this one, and then wow. And then you have to start looking at the 330s. That was a high from over here. I'm going to add that in, actually, because I have the feeling this one could run quite soon. That's all you need to look out for. And if you start taking that out, just I wouldn't sell, to be honest. I would look forward to a big move, $5. That's 100% from where you are here. Now on the way down, 220, it's going to bounce on this ascending. If we start to lose it, then yeah, $2, nice round number. Also where it bounced from there, and just below, oh, that is $2, same thing. This is just one big thick support zone. If we start to lose $2, probably because the whole sector's going down, but then yes, here we have resistance, it was support there, so this counts. And then here, okay, your last line of support, but it's not going down there. That's almost a 50% drop, and you're gonna find support halfway in between. Harmony, another one that's doing very, very well. I should have mentioned this one at the beginning of my video where I was naming stocks that have done very well. Look at this. It's just higher highs, higher lows, and not even that, it's just up. Okay, it's come down because the sector came down. Well, only recently a little bit. Resistance is 680. Need to close above 680, not even 675. If you close above 675, up you go to 760. I agree. And then a little higher, and then you got this descending. This is very good. Look at this nice curl, semicircle, and then breakout. But once you take out 750, you'll hit your head on this, come back down, probably retest this and close above that, and then up you go. And honestly, I don't know where you're gonna go. $10 doesn't even matter. No real resistance. I mean, you'll find some resistance on the way, but nothing incredibly obvious right now. This looks really good. On the way down, support is going to be here. The most obvious support of the day, 540. We've hit it many times. It was resistance before. If you start flushing even more, then $5, or it could just be 510. You know what? Might as well buy 510 to make sure you're in. Between 510 and 490. My God, it's the same thing. And if it keeps going, then you got this support very clear. And if you keep going, you got this ascending very clear. And if you keep going after that, you got the pivot lows of these areas, which you're not going to get to. Harmony looks amazing. Anglogold. Okay. Yeah, this was a bit of a level. Then it's this gone. I think this one needs several little lines. I don't like to draw them, but I think they are valid when you get there. So first of all, close at low of day. Let's just cover the lows. This is a support zone, $16. I actually don't think it would get there in one go. This is quite a drop. You've got little gaps, so it can't really do that in one day unless it's a very bad day. But $16 below that, you got 14.90. Let's call it 15, shall we? Below that, you got the absolute low of here, 12.50. That's huge support. It's also COVID lows, so I don't see us going there. On the upside, I would say 18 is a bit of a level. You know, it has been a little bit of a level. Nothing major. It can take it out in 2 days. After that, 1885. After that, yeah, 20. Big number. That's why I've got that sort of in midair. It's kind of an average between the highest point there, and more frequently it seems to run into resistance at 1950. So if you really want to get out, sell at 1949. But maybe when you're going up there, the whole sector's ready to move. Otherwise, if we go higher, there is a bit of a gap thing here. It's quite a significant gap. So maybe at least the gap close, because the beginning of the gap is too close to 20. You know, you're not going to fail at 20.70 after closing above 20. So yeah, this one, a nice midpoint between this 20 and this 23.5. And then the rest of the levels make sense, but we're far from that. There you go. That's everything. Sorry I posted my video a bit late. So I'm just going to go ahead and post it now after I put it together along with the other 3 videos I did. Good luck. I hope this was of use to you guys.